turns out jihad has many meanings. I didn't think it had that many meanings, depending on the context. It seemed pretty clear what a crusade meant or a jihad.
It's a nuanced thing.
But the Metropolitan Police Force have been doing some scholarly research, and they have come to tell us that we're all wrong. We have all been reading the Quran wrong, and they are the true interpreters of Islam. Thank Christ. God bless the Metropolitan Police Force for its dedicated work.
Well, that solves about 1,400 years of confusion then, doesn't it?
So, before we begin, I'm just going to mention something on lotusis.com, this being the lads hour where we just kind of have fun, which is always good fun. This one about your ideal holiday, so do go and enjoy that.
Yeah, that one had Lord Miles on it, so you can imagine what his ideal holiday was.
Somalia.
Holiday in Cambodia.
Basically, yes.
Sorry, I'll stop now.
No, that's great. But anyway, the thing that's been continuing to happen, I thought this would have gone on for a week and then would have died, the whole Israel-Gaza protests, which okay, whatever, why are you in the West? Just stop. I mean, I like Tim's Paul response to all of this. Colonizers complaining about colonizers.
Well, this is the thing. They only pay attention to European colonialism, this whole post-colonialism and decolonization movement. They forget that the people who used to live in the part of the world where they do, alongside or even before the Jews, were not Arabs.
No, but even if
they were...
These people in America are not indigenous either.
Nor are the ones in London, nor are the ones in Paris, nor are the ones in Germany, nor are the ones... I could go on.
But the whole point of this, though, is they treat that we're being liberal critics here saying, but you don't treat colonizers in the same way. And yes, that's a good gag from Tim, all these colonizers screaming about colonizers, for someone who understands that liberalism is about treating like cases alike. It's a rule of law thing that goes back to classical to the Romans. It's a Roman law point. So, but the thing is, so we think, well, you're all colonizers. We're all colonizers. Just get off your bike and get off your high horse and just accept that we're all the same. But the point is, these people genuinely think that their kind of colonization, which they wouldn't even call that, they've got another name for it, is fine. And our kind of colonization is the bad sort.
Yeah.
They deliberately want like cases treated differently. That you are dealing with the anti-rule of law here.
Yeah, I think they've got a good point. Our colonization good, their colonization bad. Now what?
That's the way it used to work, but now we live in the West, in which we have to deal with, well, that liberalism going to its end goal, which is the police now siding with the idea that their colonization good, ours bad. And the Metropolitan Police, who decided to give their Twitter account to a member of Hamas, I presume, because I don't know what the hell else they were doing during all this. And they did various number of tweets, and this one here, the word jihad has a number of meanings. But we know the public will most commonly associate it with terrorism for some reason.
Because they're racist.
We have specialty counter-terrorism officers here in the operations room from Al-Qaeda. They're nice guys. Anyway, they've got particular knowledge in this area because they've worked with Al-Qaeda. They have assessed in this video, filmed at the Hizb ut-Tahrir protest in central London today. For people wondering what the hell that is, that's this here. The guys with the Muslim armies are going to rescue the people of Palestine banner.
And he was just shouting jihad, jihad, jihad over and over and over again.
He is indeed. Hizb ut-Tahrir are banned in many Muslim countries because their number one goal is to reform the caliphate by force. And that will get you banned from a number of Muslim countries. But Muslim countries such as England do not ban such speech. Instead, apparently, we have the Metropolitan Police come out and defend them.
I love how they're equivocating on this. If you come out and say something that even comes close to being racist, that's it, you're going to jail. But if someone's talking about jihad, they're like, okay, well, we need to talk about the kinds of jihad they're calling for.
Yeah, they go on to recognize...
I have to say that, and probably because I played a small role in it appearing there, the Metropolitan Police getting community noted
I know, it's lovely,
is just so John Peel.
Yeah.
The police are the public and the public are the police.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's exactly a great way of framing it, actually.
But yes, I am one of the writers of community notes on Twitter. I am one of those people.
Excellent.
I write them in English and Italian, and I rate them in English, Italian, French, and Arabic.
Well, the Arabic one's going to be increasingly useful.
Well, no, I think they would like me to write in Arabic, but my Arabic's not good enough. I can read it, but I make mistakes. This is the problem. When you live in a place for a few months, you learn to speak it and you learn to read it, but you don't learn to write it. That takes longer.
But the police didn't just decide to tweet that this man screaming jihad at the Hizb ut-Tahrir rally was just a humble Muslim man. I don't know what your problem is. They decided to go on to defend...
Local community activist, I believe is how they're called.
Of course. They made a big old post where they're just like, well, updating everyone on the policing of that protest. And it's like, well, they asked for it, and the man can be seen chanting jihad, jihad, but it has a number of meanings, and we know the public are a bit confused. And then they just go on. They also ban us saying Muslim armies, but that has a number of meanings. Who knows what it could mean? Exactly. And, well, they also went on to defend the Al-Qaeda flag for some reason. This is the Metropolitan Police here being like, here's some pictures. People saying, they've got ISIS flags. And the Metropolitan Police being like, well, this tweet has been deleted. There's not the flag of ISIS. It's just the Shahada, which is the declaration of faith in Islam.
But isn't it the flag of Al Qaeda?
It is indeed the flag
It's
of
also,
Al-Qaeda.
it also, to be fair, it's also the flag of Saudi Arabia.
Well,
I
not
mean,
quite.
literally, there used to be people who said that the only reason Saudi Arabia was our friend was because they had the Shahada on their flag in nice calligraphy rather than shit calligraphy.
The evil one.
Yeah.
But there is a difference, because the Saudi flag is green for one. Seems like a mild difference, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But then number two, it has the Saudi sword.
But
Yes.
the black flag has connotations in Islam.
Yeah.
as
Not
well.
only that,
Right.
but the specific calligraphy here, some enterprising chap did actually respond somewhere down here and made the point, here's the flag on the Saudi Shahada or whatever else.
Yeah.
And then the Al-Qaeda flag specifically, they have stylized these letters.
Yes.
And so you can tell it's the Al-Qaeda one that
yes.
this chap is
Oh,
holding.
that is true. They do look different.
Just to be clear, Al Qaeda are the group responsible for 9/11, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes. And the British police are like, whoa, calm down. Come on, they're good boys. They're just humble Muslims. I don't know what your problem is.
Calm down, dear.
It's local community activists.
So a lot of people noticed the
And the
British police,
7/7 bombings as well.
had signed up to bomb their own city in future, presumably. As they defend that totally, it's not an ISIS flag, it's
I
Al-Qaeda. Big difference.
Yeah, they were the ones, the 7/7 bombings were
Pretty sure they're.
were they Al Qaeda?
I'm pretty sure they were claimed.
I
by
remember them
Al-Qaeda.
being. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was before ISIS were a thing. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Just actual terrorist group. That's all.
And you can see a lot of people were a bit miffed. There's quite a lot of comments being like, what the hell's wrong with you? There's some good footage here we'll get back to in a minute. But someone who was funnier, in my view, has to be this. Oh, he's hidden his
Oh,
post.
my old buddy Adil Ray.
Adil
did
Ray.
you not screenshot it, you rotter?
It's I think it's just because you're viewing this account, it can't be done. But Adil Ray made a big post where he said, jihad has many meanings.
Yes.
In this context of standing next to a flag of Al Qaeda and a big banner that says Muslim armies,
And death to all Jews.
it simply means a force for positive good in the world. It's a struggle
It means
against
social
evil.
justice.
So this guy made a pretty good meme. It's just like, Adil Ray's Mind Jihad. Book now in all good stores. It simply means by struggling against evil and colonialism.
Someone's got that really good Gothic font,
Yeah.
Mm.
and they decided to whip it out and have fun with it.
This account here, you should follow, trust me.
Yeah,
He's just
he's-
a riot.
Drugs, great.
He's just funny. So there's that. But this wasn't just with us, of course. You can see here in Amsterdam, there are Taliban and Al-Qaeda flags as well.
Oh, just Taliban and Al Qaeda flags on the streets of Amsterdam.
I mean, one of those groups is bad. And you can see that it's all over the West, it seems. In fact, in Berlin, they had to corner off the Holocaust Memorial because they just didn't trust the local community.
To not piss on it,
Yeah.
Or worse.
pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not even sure they would know what that is, to be honest, because the Holocaust Memorial.
Well, in the one in Berlin
Strange.
is weird. Yeah, they haven't done it very well. The ones in Poland tend to be better, or that they were
I've actually been to this. It's actually quite interesting to walk around because it does give you this kind of dead feeling of being in because nothing's straight, right? Nothing's like well aligned,
Yeah.
and it tends to start looming over you. So it actually conveys a feeling quite well, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
You just have
yes.
to go into it to understand why.
Whole other conversation, but I wouldn't immediately think Holocaust. I'm not sure the local community activists would either. But if they did, there's a reason that was blocked off. But this isn't the funniest thing I saw in relation to all of this. ITV decided to update the broadcast ecology by interviewing a local Muslim woman who is so disappointed at how these protests and the response has turned out. Because now, how could she live as a Muslim in the West without being considered a terrorist? Awful that people think such things. So let's see it in her own words. And then also what she does in her spare time.
I've been called a terrorist. I've been asked to go back home. I've had people in their cars making threatening gestures.
For people like Latifa Abu Chakra, a British Palestinian living in London, just going about her daily business doesn't feel safe.
It makes me feel that as a Muslim woman in this country, no matter how hard I work, no matter how good I can be, it will never be enough, because apparently Muslims and Palestinians are inherently terrorists, according to the system here, according to the narrative of the media and according to the narrative of the politicians.
This is what she does in her
As
spare time.
fragile as a spider's web, the Zionist entity is shaking with fear. In an early morning shock, Palestinian resistance factions from Gaza launched an
And of course,
unprecedented
Twitter found this in
attack
approximately
on
30
the
seconds, being
First, armed fighters
Twitter.
sailed over
Yeah,
the
for people
Israeli
listening, I
fence
don't know
to
how loud it
Gaza
is. She's
using
literally celebrating the footage of the guys on the paragliders who went and killed all the civilians. And
I
then-
love the framing. Just armed fighters from the resistance movement.
Yes, and then the next day she goes on ITV to talk about how, they think we're all terrorist supporting Muslims. But me, a terrorist supporting Muslim, was just going about my business. And then people say such things.
I'm afraid the only response to that is if the cap fits, wear it.
And ITV put her on for the normies to watch at home.
Because the
I mean-
media narrative in this country is so against Muslims.
Irritatingly, you are right that, of course, Twitter found it in 30 seconds. We're just like, are you actually retarded?
Hmm.
To ITV News here. But then you have the normies at home watching that being, oh, isn't it terrible? Islamophobia is on the rise. They have no idea that the person they've just seen on their TV is actually a terror supporter.
Honestly, I
I
don't
don't know. A lot of normies hate.
Honestly, Callum, this is something that I can propound on a bit because I've done the advertising agency thing. It is actually incredibly difficult to change people's minds with media. It really, 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 really is.
Which is why they do the same narrative every day for years.
It's why bombarding Australians with The Voice, if anything, it turned them off it even more.
I think it depends on the subject, right? Because if it's something about deeply held, ingrained beliefs and prejudices, yes. But if it's something they don't really care about or know about, probably easily done.
But definitely for sure,
Every time it's been put to the test, media effects theory is one of those ones that it really, really fails to show any significance. There's even been attempts to do research on the the effect of radio in both Nazi Germany, because we've got very good records of which parts of the country had access to the Volkssender, the new radio, the cheap radio that Goebbels made available, and also the role of radio in the Rwandan genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem that in a totalitarian state where the central authority can exclude all other voices and only have, and it's particularly radio. Radio is much worse than television for some reason. And so stuff without pictures.
Sorry, I'm just imagining like the TV is like, we should kill all the Tutsis. Nah, the radio says it. Gotta go.
Well, what it is that, first of all, the findings is that radio does play a role. It can change people's minds, but they have to have psychological proclivities in that direction already, and it tends to only work in totalitarian states. The reason television is a lousy recruiting sergeant for genocide is basically because human beings evolved to see each other's faces. So when you can see the person's face on television, your face is just far more revealing of you than just your voice. Yeah. And that's why you had that situation when we all only had 3 TV channels in both the UK and the US, where you had that incredible political convergence where all the parties all seemed to be exactly the same, and the societies were very homogenous. Part of that was actually a byproduct of television. It drags people to the centre, whereas radio and just generally text-based media drive people to the extremes. And when you say text-based media, I mean, Niall Ferguson, the historian's made this point. You're not just talking about radio. One of the reasons for the wars of religion wasn't the only reason, but a significant part of the reason was the fact that everybody could disseminate their shit sheets about everybody else thanks to the printing press, all the rotten things that the Protestants and Catholics are doing this week.
Well, they're certainly continuing. But I do love that ITV made this attempt here. And I'm just going to play a little bit because I did see on GB News, they decided to respond to this whole question of whether jihad means simply internal struggle. And this chap, I think, has it right. Because if you
the greater jihad does.
Well, if you substitute Adol Ray's speech into where they use jihad, suddenly it makes a lot more sense.
Made in the first articles about this, about the word has different meanings, like pair and pair, but obviously with far worse consequences. And he says it can mean struggle. So a Muslim's spiritual struggle to avoid sin and be a better human. So I thought, let's put that in context, replace the word with that and see if it works. So in one clip, taken outside the Egyptian embassy, a speaker says, what is the solution to liberate people from the concentration camps called Palestine? The mob says, struggle to avoid sin and be a better human and avoid evil.
It's good. It's like the consolations of philosophy, or Marcus Aurelius' Meditations.
So I thought that further on, there's another clip. Let's put it in there, see if it works. The mob says, the second clip, the only solution is jihad by the armies of the Muslim countries. So that's the only solution is the struggle to avoid sin and be a better human by the armies of the Muslim. I'm saying it possibly.
I think he's quite right.
Great point.
How could that possibly be misinterpreted? The police are obviously correct, which is why Bing AI also won't allow you to even look up the word jihad. If you type it in now, you get a content warning. Your prompt has been blocked because maybe a conflict with our content policy. The word jihad.
Can I just say that AI, this is the most overrated wibble I have ever seen.
It is now, in the same way that, like, the Sony Walkman or Discman was the most overrated thing because it kept skipping. But in 20 years' time, it's going to be so advanced that you won't even think about it.
Because at the moment,
Well, right now it's
just
blocked.
a joke. And at the moment, you're blocked. Yay!
Can't even do
But eventually,
But I love this this whole situation because some people started making jokes where it's like, I'm just as English as you. I occasionally drink tea and eat shepherd's pie. But anyway, let me explain to you why jihad is absolutely fine, you gammon bigots. And the thing is...
yes, there's Adil Ray playing the stereotypical Pakistani man.
No, but that's also the Metropolitan Police
Yes.
standing there telling you why you have the wrong interpretation of
will-
Islam.
To give them some credit, I mean, there were some British Muslims underneath that ridiculous Met tweet pointing out some of them were doing it in Arabic as well. No. If it is that organisation, a lot of Muslims really don't like Hizb ut-Tahrir. They might be quite
Reason they're
conservative.
bad.
That if it is that organisation using it in that way, it means war.
Yes.
It means the war version.
Yes.
Wow.
And everyone knows this, and it's just an
And I was
excuse.
because my partner made the
Famous.
point: are those people tweeting at the Met in Arabic? And I'm going, yes, they are. And she just says, and they're disagreeing, and I'm going, yes, the Met is trying to teach Muslims their own theology. It's quite entertaining.
But that's actually how we live. And I don't know if you saw, Rishi Sunak came out and was like, hang on, maybe I should try and stop the police trying to be Islamic scholars. And Dominic Cummings just started laughing at this, being like, the government doesn't actually control the government. You couldn't do it even if you wanted to. So this seems to be the case, though, because I saw an interview, and this is the most popular podcast in the UK. This is the news agents here, which is trash. We've been over there before. But they decided to have some guy on. He's the ex-Greater Manchester police chief to talk about this. And his answers are just kind of horrific when you realize, oh God, they're serious, aren't they?
You heard the chant jihad. Would you hear that in the context of the march on Saturday as an incitement of hatred or violence?
Well, I think to be fair to the Metropolitan Police, before the protest, they tried to give clear direction, not only to their officers, but also to the public and the community about how they'd interpret that. And they're absolutely be doing that, for instance, around a mosque or a Jewish school. And it, in that context, it appears to be very much incitement to violence, incitement to hatred. Then absolutely, the law should be enforced.
But not on a march.
Well, I think in a march, it's far more complex as to what does that word mean. And there's been a lot of debate amongst academics and scholars and, religious leaders, even this morning, about what that word can mean to different people. And that's the difficulty, because the officer has to look at the context in that case. And then, if they make an arrest, we'll have to see what the person who made that chant themselves was actually intending and the context.
Now, okay, you may be in a giant group of...
Can I just say...
Hang on. You may be in a giant group of Muslims chanting jihad, but now
Emily
you're just an
Matallis
individual.
was at least willing to put him on the spot quite nicely.
Brilliant, but like small...
A bit of, what does jihad mean, officer?
Yeah.
Well, it's very complex. If you
It
ask
depends what the
scholars.
individual... It depends what the individual in that
They
mob
left
means.
the camera on her as she was twiddling her hair,
Yeah.
which I thought worked quite well.
But you're so right. Imagine getting arrested after calling for jihad, and then you're like, I meant internal struggle against the IDF.
Yeah.
I meant some spiritual prayer against the IDF. I mean, did you get off? Because that guy seems to think that you get off. And he used to be the Greater Manchester police chief. So the people writing those tweets, I'm sorry, but they are sincere. They are sincerely this lunatic at this point. And to end this off, because we don't have time to go through all of this, I'm just going to end off with GB News reporting. The Met Police decided to come out because they actually have been asked, what the f is wrong with you? And their response is that, well, actually, we've been ruthless. absolutely ruthless at cracking down on people calling for such things. They're quoted in here saying that they've been cracking down on people calling for jihad. Trust us, bro. But we all saw the footage. We all saw your statements. And we've seen the effects.
How many people got arrested?
Well, he
and
says
this
a
is
number.
the classic thing. When he's asked for
A number.
he says those laws should be toughened up.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not just worked for the dark side. I have been on the other side where the police are often the enemy. This is in my legal experience. And the very important thing to remember is that woke police are still police. They still like more laws to belt people over the head with. And they still like the opportunity to protect their mates.
Yeah.
And apparently teach us all.
I am a law and order Tory, pro-police, pro-policing. But as soon as you have an organisation of that type, they will take certain institutions, they will have certain institutional traits, one of which is self-protection.
Yeah.
And the other one is as many laws as possible to belt people over the head with. That is just the way cops are. And you just have to take that as part of policing. But you still need the police. This is the thing. But you just have to accept that that is a real thing that exists. So this is also prestidigitation. It really is.
Well, there we are. Turns out jihad means many things. If you don't believe me, you can go and ask your local Bobby, and he'll recite to you 47 verses, and then you'll fully understand. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the premium articles, this one on Yellen's Time Bomb with an audio track for silver and gold tiers. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at LotusEaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.